And Paul Bernal is joining us from the University of East Anglia. He's in the city of Cambridge. Paul, good to speak to you. Before we come on to Zuckerberg, it does seem amazing to me that this has caught everyone off guard. We give our data to these networks. Should we be surprised that it's being misused in certain ways?
Well, not really. I think what's interesting is that people in my field have been talking about this kind of thing for a very long time. I think I was first writing about political manipulation through this kind of data in 2010, 2011. But people don't really want to listen, and they don't want to listen because things like Facebook are so nice and convenient and useful that it's easy to imagine that everything's okay and not even think about the implications.
Absolutely. I mean, I think you've written in the past couple of days that this isn't Facebook being abused so much, rather just being used.
Yes, exactly. The things that Cambridge Analytica did are just a natural evolution of the things that they do in Facebook for advertising. So you try to focus on people who will be particularly sympathetic to your product. You try to manipulate them and persuade them to buy your product rather than another product. This is Facebook's meat and drink. Exactly the same applied in politics works. You try to find the people who are most likely to be persuadable, and then you use whatever tools you can to persuade them into your way. Because they've got so much data, they can profile us so accurately that they can actually find ways to manipulate us that are particularly suited to us. And that's what happened. And all Cambridge Analytica did is take the tools that were created for advertising and apply them to politics. I mean, it's not actually that surprising.
No, and it's not revolutionary either, is it, Paul? Because if you think about it, I mean, I grew up in a generation where if you gave your phone out to someone, you'd get a cold call being sold something. You know, this is a similar thing, isn't it? But it's 2018, it's on the internet.
Exactly, it's the same kind of thing. But because of the scale of the data that we've got, because of the sophistication of the tools, because of the development of the profiling, and we can now profile, because they've got so much data, you need very little data on one individual in order to profile them. The targeting can be more precise, the methods can be more persuasive. It's not just about ads, it's about which posts get given priority and get pushed forward for you. And the sort of people like Cambridge Analytica who have the expertise to be able to game these systems, to manipulate these systems, are seeing it as an opportunity, and they're just using it. And Facebook can pretend to be innocent here and that they've been misled and misused by Cambridge Analytica. But actually, they built the system, they have the data, and this is actually using it the way it's supposed to be used, just applying it to politics rather than to products.
I mean, that's one of the things that fascinates me. And I've mentioned Zuckerberg has been quiet since all of this broke about 48 hours or so ago. I mean, where is he? Do you think he is culpable in some way? This is his baby. He built it in his dorm room at Harvard.
Yes, I mean, frankly, I think Facebook are more culpable than Cambridge Analytica. Cambridge Analytica, in some ways, are just taking standard tactics for politics. Manipulation has always been a thing in politics. Dirty tricks have always been a thing in politics. And they've applied it in this new environment created by Zuckerberg and Facebook and taken advantage of the tools that Facebook have created. And frankly, Facebook should know that these tools that they've created can and will be used in this way. Again, people in my field have been talking about it for a long time. But again, for him, it's nice to pretend he is a nice... Facebook has a nice image, a kind of family-friendly image. It links you up with your best mates. It supports freedom of speech, which everybody says is wonderful. But that's really not the story.
It is wonderful in most respects, isn't it, Paul, though?
It is wonderful. And that's the thing. We have to understand, and this is where the other danger comes here. It is possible that governments will react to this by trying to clamp down on freedom of speech, shut down Facebook, block Twitter, and so on. And that would actually be the worst of both worlds. We get the manipulation by the likes of Facebook, and we get the clampdowns by governments suppressing freedom of speech. We have to find another way, and that, in the end, depends on us. We have to be cleverer, we have to be more sophisticated, we have to be more choosy about what we do. So if you've got a choice to do something by an email or by a Facebook message, do it by an email. If you have a choice to play a game through Facebook or directly on the game, do it directly on the game, and so on. Just to be a bit more clever
And more selective in your choices, right?
Selective in your choices, exactly. And
Paul, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to interrupt you again, mate. I'm sorry, but we have to do have to stop it there. We've run out of time. But thank you so much for joining us